What's up, guys? I hope y'all having a great day today. I have one question for you. Do you guys want to take it to the neckbeards and little Timmies who have two bodyguards in the background who are basically the reincarnation of Voldemort and Gandalf, sniping at you with Kamehamehas and every other spell known to man? Well, do I have the solution for you? Basically, we're going to be ranking the top 5 weapons that you should bring into PvP to absolutely destroy these cheeser squads and absolute menaces who terrorize you every day. Starting off with number 5.
Oh my gosh, boys. Forgot I got this, gentlemen. Oh my goodness gracious.
Now, everybody put down the torches for this one. I feel like this one might be a little bit controversial, but hear me out with this weapon.
Come outside, tarnished. We ain't gonna jump you.
This thing has an incredible, a few downsides to be fair, which is like, first off, the damage being physical, fire, magic, which, I mean, at that point, you're fighting 3 different defenses. And the stat requirement is a bit iffy with 13 strength, 16 dex, 16 intelligence, and 16 faith, which, I mean, I don't know who's running around with that if you're not like over 150 or something, but for most people you're probably not going to have those stats. But if you do build around this thing, I mean, the returns are delightful. It has a sick moveset. I mean, it's the twin light greatsword moveset, which is it's just oppressive. I mean, it's just not fair. It's even going to have the multi-hit talismans be able to proc incredibly easily thanks to the moveset. It's going to be able to even proc the god skin swaddling cloth if you want to use that. It has an Ash of War which closes every gap. It has a sick ranged attack where you shoot off these blue projectiles that will just snipe and shred and just annoy people constantly if you build around it. And it has an AoE fire pillar attack that just completely guards around you. You combine all of these things together and the amount of pressure you can put out on another player is just not fair. And that's why I think it's a fantastic weapon to take the number 5 spot. But moving on to number 4. In our 4th slot, we have the Blood Fiend's Fork. Now, I need you guys to hear me out. Use your imagination here. Imagine you're a strength build, and you need to close the gap to this caster who's been spamming spells at you this entire time. So you do what a strength build does best. You put up with the shenanigans of the mage. You finally close the gap, and this goofball pulls out an offensive toothpick. And all you're thinking to yourself is this guy serious? He takes one simple jab at you, and it feels like you've just been hit by an entire building. Your health bar is gone. Enter the Blood Fiend's Fork. So thinking up a few cons for this weapon, the only thing that really comes to mind is, I guess it's the spear moveset, so you either like it or you don't like it. Outside of that, I mean, it takes 13 arcane and 14 strength, but those are really small requirements unless you absolutely cannot do it. But moving on to the pros, there's actually a ton. I mean, it scales really nicely with elemental infusion. I'm talking, we can go up to like 1,000+ damage with this thing if you build it properly. It has a simple stat requirement in my opinion. It has innate bleed build up no matter what affinity you slap on it. It's extremely versatile. I mean, it's gonna work with elemental infusions. You could go full occult, you could go poison, bleed, you could use a sword and shield type of playstyle, but instead of a sword, you know, obviously you got a spear. And it has arcane scaling under every circumstance, which I guess could be a con if you don't like that stat for some reason, but that arcane is just going to help you do more bleed build up and slightly more damage. And it has a really decent range on the running attack. That's like a really nice thing that it has going for it. But all in all, I mean, this thing's just versatile. It hits hard. It's threatening no matter what the context, and it has a ton of options. So I think that thing easily takes the number 4 slot. And moving on to the 3rd place slot, we have
Oh. Oh my.
Stealing third place is going to be the Black Steel Great Hammer. Now, thinking of cons for this thing, the two that instantly come to mind is that it is a bit slow since it is a Great Hammer, and sometimes the range can be a bit iffy. It's still really good and it's still pretty fast for its weapon class, but I mean, it's limited by the weapon class it's in. But in terms of pros, I mean, this thing, it can likely just one-shot you, and if it doesn't one-shot you, it'll take like 1 to 3, maybe the tankiest of the tankiest are like 4 hits as long as you build this thing properly. It has a really nice moveset overall. It has a unique guard counter that if you block and counter at the right time, you'll actually smash the ground, creating a holy trail of damage, which can just be an extra way to catch people, or even more chip damage, which is great. And the Ash of War can be changed to pretty much anything, so I mean, even though it'll be less optimal than a Strength Faith build, you can do whatever you want with this thing. And last but not least, I know this seems kind of off, but I mean, it's just a lot of fun to use, honestly. I don't know what it is about the weapon, but just like big bonking people, it's so much fun, and I would highly recommend you guys try out this weapon if you just want to see how fun it is. And that pretty much solidifies it in third place for me. Moving on to second place, we have oh my gosh. So Tholia's Needle is going to be taking second place here, and I know what you guys are thinking, because some people hate it, some people love it. It has its pros, it has its cons, but boy, can I tell you guys, the pros can outweigh the cons so severely if you use this thing properly. While the cons are that it suffers from things that all fist weapons have a problem with, which is a range issue inherently, right? Because I mean, it is a fist weapon. It's also not going to have the most insane sleep buildup ever. You could just get an Albinuric Halberd and just slap some sleep grease on there, and I mean, you're gonna get sleeps left and right if you're getting the hits off properly. And it also has to have some int built up into it, so you are gonna have to pump a few points in the int, which, you know, for some people that could be a bad or good thing. But the pros, it has great damage. It has innate sleep buildup, so you don't have to keep slapping greases on it or anything. You just keep hitting your opponent and they're gonna eventually go to sleep. It has a really nice unique weapon art, where if you do get your opponents to sleep and you land the weapon art, it is going to do a gigantic chunk of their HP, especially if you build it properly. And this can just instantly end fights, with the also added fact that since you don't have to keep reapplying sleep on your weapon, you can just keep hitting your opponent and hitting them and hitting them, and eventually that sleep will come up even if they're dodging through it, thanks to the almighty phantom hits that we have in this game. And I mean, also, if it means anything, you know, Dex Int players, for all you people who enjoy that, more power to you. You got a weapon that can absolutely pressure people out of existence. And with all of those pros combined, I mean, there's almost very limited things that your opponents can do in certain matchups. And sure, they can go for a sleep bolus and just get rid of the sleep buildup, but then they're stuck in an animation and you can get a hit on them and start the cycle all over again, which is really, really nice. So that thing easily secures the second place slot. And before we get to the number 1 slot here, I want to give a few honorable mentions. Lag. That concludes our honorable mentions. Good fight, Michael. Hey, Pete, you accidentally hopped in, homie. Good fight, Pete. Good fight, for real. Hey, who asked for these weapons again? I mean, for you guys who play PvP, you knew this thing was probably going to get first place, if not somewhere up here. I mean, talking about the pros for this thing, it's great damage, great range, fast attacks. It has a stun lock combo inherently, I believe. And if you do one of the roars, you can do a different combo that stun locks people out of existence. It's versatile for pretty much anything. The stat requirement is next to nothing, and you can build it around, well, yeah, anything like previously stated. You can slap greases on it like sleep, scarlet rot, or something else, and you can just cheese people out of existence with phantom hits. It is a pressure machine. And I guess some of the cons is, I mean, you're exhibiting maidenless behavior with this thing. Touching grass and you probably don't go in the same sentence. Water decreases your HP by 5% per second in real life if you come in contact with this thing. You left your keys in the toaster and the dog ate your waffle fries in a Finboy Hooters while your carrots finished mowing the lawn. What does it all mean? I don't know. This weapon's broken. Thank you, FromSoft. Please implement more swamps, at least by 50%. I hope you guys enjoyed the ranking and let me know what you guys think. Would you have rather ranked something else in the top 5, or do you think that my list is terrible and wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching nonetheless, and I'll see you all in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed my first ever ranking, and bye bye. GG's.